broadcast network, AfterBuzz TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. You're tuning in to the online broadcast network, AfterBuzz TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AfterBuzz TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows. Interviewing celebrities and showrunners. And bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
There, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. fans! Welcome to another edition of the AfterBuzz After Show. How are you all doing tonight?
Good.
Great. Thank you. How are you? It's great to be one of us. And that is exactly what we are talking about tonight. Season 2, Episode 13, One of Us. Let me go ahead and introduce my fantastic panel. Jesse Klein.
Hey everyone, I'm Jesse Klein. You can find me at JessKlein1. That's JessKlein, the number 1.
Zach Wilson.
I'm that Zach Wilson. THATZACHWILSON.
And Joyce.
And you can find me on Twitter at JAJOURI, since we're all spelling it out.
Yeah, sure.
Yep.
And all very confusing names.
Yeah.
Except you, Jesse. Well,
People had an eye on me.
Straightforward.
Yeah.
And my name is Megan Salinas. You can tweet at me directly at the Menguin. That's TheMenguin. If you haven't already done so, we would really appreciate it if you would just go on over to iTunes or YouTube, anywhere that you can find AfterBuzz TV, rate, subscribe, leave a comment. We love hearing from you guys on YouTube, iTunes. You'll even get a shout out in the middle of the show. And again, we really appreciate all the support, you guys. It means the world to us.
Yeah.
So this week, wow. So a lot to talk about this week. I just want to know, initial thoughts after this episode.
Poor Skye.
Seriously.
I mean, that's the way I could describe
She's
it.
had
I mean,
it
now
rough.
I feel like she's super torn. Poor thing. I mean, she's trying to figure out how to control her powers and make sure everything's okay, or make sure everyone's okay. And then, here she is having her new encounter with her dad, which can only be so confusing for her. So, I feel bad.
I left the end of this. I admittedly left this episode frustrated.
Yeah.
We got two big, answers. Oh, no answers.
Yeah, exactly. It was
Agents of
twice
S.H.I.E.L.D. blue balls.
They teased us with, big almost answers.
Yeah, that was kind of what I was feeling as well.
Almost answers.
Ooh, Edward James almost answers.
Tish.
I do not apologize.
me and Zach are in the same boat. I felt like this was an episode that was kind of just pushing. I think there was a lot of development for Skye, but it felt like it was just an episode to set up a bunch of stuff. It didn't really feel like much happened. Even though a lot happened, it didn't feel like there was any weight to it.
There was a lot less intensity than there has been in the last couple episodes. This was almost a breather episode, which is
even though it had
strange.
a fight.
Yeah, which is strange because you have a team of villains who have come together. But in a lot of ways, this was kind of a breathing room episode because the last couple episodes have just been go, 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 and just throwing so much information at everybody and leaving on so many cliffhangers. It was kind of nice in a way to kind of get a little bit of a reprieve.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it is kind of well, give us answers. We need more answers.
This was almost like a 0.1 issue.
Yeah, that's kind of what it felt like,
we sort of went off track for a little while, tracked down this little...
Yeah, these supervillains that weren't very, except for the Screamer.
I wouldn't even call them, except for what is it?
Angar,
the Screamer.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even classify any of them really as super
just
villains.
Bad guys. And one of the guys was a genius, but he didn't really seem to use it very well.
I don't think he was a genius.
It's not like he was a technomancer or anything like that. He was just smart. That was it.
And stubborn.
Well, we want to know what you guys have to say about what you think about this episode, so feel free to tweet at us at
please do.
ABTV Shield, or we love hearing from you guys in the live chat as well. So yeah.
And I want to respond to Ron Corleone, who says I was waiting to use that joke. No, on the spot. Does not mean it was creative. I thought of it on the spot.
Over here.
You're giving their puns too much credit.
Yeah, please don't.
I guarantee you not very much thought is put into those puns.
So much thought is put into those puns.
Every single
We
pun.
think about them every single
dare
day.
What do you think's on these pads?
It's just puns.
None of it's notes or anything like that. Facts.
Tons of puns.
Well, I want to know, what do you guys think of our slicing talons? Which, that's the worst villain team name ever.
That's right.
I mean, you could tell he was kind of reaching for that.
Yeah, he's like, what is a good...
He's like slicing talent. I don't know.
I like the S.H.I.E.L.D. being the Eagles, though. That was great.
Yeah.
I think the thing that kind of makes Calvin or Dr. Hyde an interesting character is that he might have a bigger plan overall, but he seems like he's playing by the seat of his pants quite a bit. Like, he seems to be playing pretty fast and loose with his supervillainy. That made it really interesting to hear like him just be like, the slicing talents. Like,
I think they were also playing with the fact that, like, all the comic nerds are like, oh, what team is this going to be? What team is this going to be?
It's like, it's not a team.
No,
I
it's
just imagine their mascot being like, I don't know, like a velociraptor claw.
I mean, it would be
from,
like
Jurassic
With just
Park.
the claw.
Just
Like,
the
they
claw.
don't
Like
even
the
get
guy
it.
is just in a costume that looks like a claw.
well, it would be
It's not even like the Velociraptor where it's thinking, it's just the claw.
it would be a guy with a velociraptor talon grafted to his fingertips.
But going back to Cal, I mean, you're right. It did seem like he didn't really have a solid plan. Like, and even the fact that he called his group of gifteds, they would be a force together. But really, at the end of the day, they weren't. I mean, they were defeated just like that. It was super easy to bring him down. He didn't. I don't think he knew exactly what he was getting into.
Well, he has a definitive goal.
Sure.
These are all just kind of people he roped in who are either afraid of him beating them up or just didn't have anything better to do.
They're
so
easy
like,
to brainwash, too.
Because even Carla is like, well, maybe we should just, let sleeping dogs lie. Like, why bother? Maybe it's not worth the trouble.
But then she full-on kills a guard. Like, she was written very weirdly. I didn't know what to get off of her because she was, like, alone in her apartment. She was eating steak by herself, so good for you. But, like...
Get that protein.
Yeah, get that protein. But, like, she was a weird character because it seemed like she didn't really want to be there, but when it came killing time, she sliced that guard's neck right open with zero hesitation at all. So
her X-Acto knife fingers.
Yeah, but what a lame, like, that feels like a character that I would have made up for an Agent Carter.
like a Silver Age. Like, she's got knives for fingers.
She just grafted X-Acto blade knives onto all of her fingers. Why not just use a knife?
Also,
right?
how hard would those be to remove?
Like, painful, but not hard.
They're permanently grafted into her. But what is permanent when you implant something?
Oh man, that's a philosophical question. Philosophical question. I'm not ready to answer.
File them down. Why didn't S.H.I.E.L.D. just file them
Put
down?
in, like, these gauntlets that can't be removed. Like, I'm just saying, like, I know you might think of it as, like, cruel, but, like, would it have not been easier to just cut off the tips of her fingers?
Well, I mean, here's what I think. I think the field scientist, the S.H.I.E.L.D. scientist that was put with her was like, "Oh, I just actually made these gloves. Can we give?" And they're like, "Yeah, but we could just remove the graft from her fingertip and just replace that with fake bone." No! I made these awesome gloves. Can we give her these gloves?
But
like,
with
okay,
actual
Jim.
prosthetic fingertips, she'll still be able to function. And
No, you don't know. They're really cool looking. Like they gives her like little metal fingers.
She's not going to be able to brush her hair with those.
Maybe they're adamantium X-Acto knives.
That's the only way, because that's the other thing. It's like, they're not Wolverine's claws.
No.
They're just little X-Acto knife fingernail doodads. And it's not even like in the X-Men, in X2 when he has to fight. Oh gosh, what's her name? Yuriko?
Oh, you're talking about Deathstrike or whatever
Yeah,
her name
Deathstrike.
is. Lady
I was
Deathstrike,
I know her actual name, but I was blanking on her
Yeah.
human
Literally,
name.
as you guys said that, John Yaku in the chat roll says the lady is Lady Deathstrike.
Yes, she is.
Yeah.
The lady is Lady Deathstrike, and I apologize. It's late.
Lady
Anywho.
Deathstrike.
But we're not allowed to talk about that because she's a mutant,
no,
and there are no mutants on this show.
No.
But
There are enhanced people.
we do have a distinction now, and the show itself actually takes time to say that there is a distinction between people who are enhanced, and they didn't say inhuman, but people who are naturally gifted, I suppose
Yeah.
you could say.
Well, I guess
They classified Skye as other.
Yeah.
And everyone else with man-made powers are enhanced.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
they're expanding the index because gifted is just too broad.
But so the index covers everybody. Like
Everyone has
here's-
superpowers.
Okay, but like, so here's my question: like, where does like Thor fall?
I think Thor's
Demigod.
Alien, probably.
Yeah, Thor's an alien.
think they consider
is
him
alien
alien.
a third category?
I think
Probably.
there's
Is
probably.
the index only for humans?
I think we've got to see. There's got to be a chart somewhere that we got to look at. We got to see like where the two circles combine and like alien versus inhuman.
That does bring
and,
up
like,
the question of where the Avengers fall on, or maybe the Avengers like just get their own little
Well, no, because
category.
I think like, well, they're almost all science made.
Because Captain America would be
Hulk,
considered
science,
enhanced.
Captain
Yeah.
America, science.
Hulk.
Iron Man, not actually powers, just super rich. But
Which is a
Thor-
power in itself.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, he grafted a little power source to his chest for a little bit, so that's
Yeah.
not exactly Exacto knives, but there you go.
I mean, it's like a fancy pacemaker.
It's a little more sophisticated than
It is. It's so true.
Yeah, that's true.
But I'm just waiting until like they actually get to the point where they're calling the naturally gifted Inhumans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's always been a weird part of the Marvel universe where it's like the Fantastic Four are mutants. They got changed by radiation into being things that are other than humans, but for some reason it's okay in the Marvel universe and they don't experience
Because
the
they
same
weren't
racism.
born different.
Yeah, I guess. But neither were the mutants didn't show their powers until they went through puberty. Or later, or earlier sometimes. But, like, a lot of times it's, like, they don't show their powers until, like, they're 13 or 14.
This is one
I
of
guess
those.
the Fantastic Four doesn't fit the gay metaphor, though.
I guess they don't.
This is one of those, like, hey, we had these two comic books, and then we decided to make this a whole
Put them in a universe.
It's
Yeah.
almost
universe
like they
thing.
thought about it after the fact.
People just don't like mutants.
Yeah. Yeah.
I always,
Spider-Man, cool. Mutant, no.
Not cool.
I always felt bad for
Spider-Man's
Spider-Man.
not that cool. I mean, originally New York.
That's fair. They don't like him either.
I was gonna say, yeah, I always felt bad for Spider-Man because that was a science power, but he never got the cred that like the Fantastic Four got. He was
True.
always hated and despised.
Shafted again.
Until he was on the Fantastic Four, and then that was fine.
Well, it's because he wears a mask, and the Fantastic Four are like,
Hey.
hi, I'm Johnny Storm.
And I'm a rock man. That's not at all how he talks.
I'm a rock man.
Well, anyway, let's now that we've talked a little bit about our slicing talons and
Sure.
gotten a little off track, I gotta say my favorite scene with them was probably just them in the diner, because it was just this kind of almost Tarantino-esque moment with just all of them. I really wanted them to just sit there and talk about like tipping, whether or
Yeah.
not who was gonna tip and not tip.
It felt very like how weird it was to have like the mask guy there in the diner
in
and no one was
public.
commenting on it. It felt very Venture Brothers to me, where it was like a slice of like the day in the life of what it would be like to be one of these people with a monster superpower like that.
Or
It's just
somebody
like,
who goes around in a butterfly suit.
yeah, it's just like that guy just like drinking a milkshake through a mask. Like that was just so weird, and no one's commenting on it. Like no one's
Yeah.
noticing.
Maybe
This girl
that's
has this girl has X-Acto knives on her hands. And,
Probably like cutting up
yeah, exactly.
food with her own fingernails.
If I saw a girl with X-Acto knives on her fingers, I wouldn't want to ask about it.
That's
yeah,
true.
that's true.
That's
you
probably
see
true.
a group like that walk in,
Yeah.
questions are the absolute last thing.
It was just the funniest thing. Though.
Yeah.
Like everyone, like they're just at a diner. Like super strong steroid man is like just chowing down on some bacon.
But that's like true Marvel fashion, I feel.
Yeah.
They always
Yeah.
have little bits like
You know
that.
what? It was kind
that
of
come
the kind of B-team supervillain version of the shawarma scene at the end
Yeah,
of the
that's what I was
episode.
thinking of when we first saw that scene.
Yeah, and like also that super strong guy was super lame. Really, that was his superpower because he took a bunch of steroids and got like he should have been able to punch like someone to death, right? Like anyone. Apparently his strength only applies when it's to metal bars and helmets.
I was gonna say when it's to open gate.
I mean,
Yeah.
they did bring up the fact that he's not very bright,
That's
so maybe
true.
it just didn't occur to him to use his
Also-
super strength.
The
Yeah.
poor man's Hulk.
Also, in fairness, who was he? He was fighting a Melinda May.
Yeah.
Which-
So she knows enough like judo and stuff. Like use his strength against him.
There was a time when he had his hands around her neck, though. Like with super strength, you should be able to snap her neck.
She was
Yeah.
struggling for a little bit.
Yeah, I just feel like these guys were not very threatening.
Yeah. No,
They
exactly.
tried.
They really
They
gave it the whole
tried.
college
Valiant
try.
attempt. I love how the genius at the end was like, no, please, no.
Well, I think that was
Levi, yeah.
well. I think that was interesting because we saw Skye reacting to Coulson being so brutal to this guy.
You know,
Like,
that's very true.
I think that was kind of the most interesting part about this episode, at least for me, even with the huge reveals at the end, like not counting that there's another S.H.I.E.L.D. and that we've got Calvin in the mountain fortress.
Yeah.
But I think seeing how Skye is dealing with the fact that she's got these powers that either she can choose to hurt others with it or hurt herself is the ultimate choice that she has.
That's also why I was saying that she seemed very torn this episode.
Yeah.
Because going back to that look she gave Coulson when he was beating up
Levi.
I'm sorry, Levi.
Yeah.
I keep forgetting his name.
Sorry.
Like she's not finally, but I think she's starting to realize that she is different and she's relating to people who are similar to her
Yeah.
and just basically seeing what her dad is telling her, like in the flesh, like seeing
Yeah.
that how they're being treated is actually what her dad has been saying.
It's starting to sink in
It's sinking
now that
in.
she's different.
Exactly.
I mean, her dad is full on crazy, but he at least has a point that where I think in the past S.H.I.E.L.D. has treated people with powers maybe poorly.
I mean,
Well,
we see
yeah.
that in Simmons. I mean, they don't know how to handle this, and
Yeah.
they say it multiple times this episode and next episode. And I like the fact that they don't understand and they don't know how to deal with someone like Skye and any of the other gifteds. Like, I get it. I mean, it's. I wouldn't say that her dad's not telling the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So.
I mean, it's a tough thing because you can totally see both sides in the situation. It's
Yeah.
like there's something incredibly scary about people with powers and not knowing what to
For
do
sure.
with them. I mean,
Yeah.
you have to like look at the history of the Marvel universe as it
Yeah.
stands. What have we seen? We've seen the instant Iron Man shows up on the scene, like Ironmonger shows up on the scene.
Yes.
Thor and then the Destroyer shows up, and like, what are we gonna do with that? Chitauri invasion.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah, things
Yeah,
just
sure.
keep escalating, so it's not really a surprise that S.H.I.E.L.D. went to the level that it did in the name of safety. Not only that, but Hydra and all that other stuff, that corruption. But with Skye in particular, and the other part of the debate is that she herself can't fully control her powers
No.
yet. She didn't even know she was hurting herself.
No, like,
Like-
all the micro fractures and like the capillaries bursting and stuff like that. Yeah.
That was heartbreaking because she was internalizing it and essentially inflicting harm on herself to prevent from externalizing it, which actually, sadly, a lot of people do.
Yeah. Well, I think I mean that was an apt metaphor is when people are feeling like violent towards others, instead of like expressing it and like seeking help, they internalize it and hurt themselves quite a bit.
They inflict pain on themselves.
So I think that was an interesting metaphor. Also, comic book fans, correct me if I'm wrong, but Daisy in the comics, not the new S.H.I.E.L.D. comics, but the ones where it's her working with Agent Fury and like Phobos and all of those people, I believe she has gauntlets on. Like she like covers her hands. And I don't know if that was kind of like an homage to that, or maybe setting up something later on. But I know that I think maybe the gauntlets help focus her powers or something like that.
Let's say they can get their hands on just a little bit of vibranium.
Yeah.
That's like if she can focus all of her energy into something that is vibration proof.
Yeah.
That's a great way to absorb it.
You know, maybe that's what those X-Acto knives are made out of, and that's why they can't file them down.
Well, we even see at the end of this episode, Simmons has created these special casts for her to help with to reduce. So maybe it's very conceivable that by the end of this season or halfway through next season, they get her a pair of gauntlets that help focus and hone her powers.
Yeah.
Here's hoping. That would be great. But since we're talking about Skye, let's talk about her evaluation. Because now that she is on the index, they actually have to go through a process, because there's a process for everybody on the index.
Lots of red tape.
So they need somebody from the outside to come in and evaluate Skye. And the perfect person in their mind is May's ex, Andrew. Which is kind of funny because I almost forgot entirely that May was divorced.
Yeah.
Like that was almost so long ago. Like I had almost completely forgotten about it.
I was going to say, we have to note it was her ex-husband. And to think that she was married at all is kind of funny.
I love Skye's reaction to it, where she's just like,
when she comes
did you
in
have
frame,
pillow talk or just pillow stern looks?
Just the two of them. Just good night.
her jokes have gotten better.
Yeah. I thought, well, also kind of like the sub game of like everyone, like, she had a husband?
And especially how Fitz reacted to it. Like, oh, he seems nice.
I do like that just them being together and having very civil, nice conversations with each other, as what you would hope exes would have, just drives everybody like into gossip mode. Even Fitz and Simmons, who are avoiding each other like the plague, all of a sudden come together to be like, what? How is this even possible?
Yeah, that was a really sweet moment where he's like putting the tea in the microwave and
with
they're
his
talking
little grumpy cat mug.
with his cat mug, and like them, I was like, oh, that's right. These two really liked each other for a while in the first season, and we haven't seen that in a long time. It was kind of nice to see again. I enjoyed it.
Well, you almost forget they weren't just like friends that were working together a little bit. They were like best buddies for years. They
completed each other's names.
Yeah, literally, it was Fitz.
They were one. They were a unit for the first couple episodes.
I like how she put that. Them sharing science was very sacred, and the fact that that's not there anymore. It's like they have nothing else. I mean, it was just what shaped their lives together as friends.
Fitz thought there was something else.
Aww.
I had a lot of. The thing is, like, you're super spies. It was her and Hunter being like, there should never be any lies. It's like, it's all lies. You're all super spies. That's your job. Your job is literally to peddle in lies. Like, don't think that everyone's not lying to each other, because that's what you do when you're a super spy. You gotta lie. Lie all the time. Yeah. Always lie.
And then didn't Simmons come back at her with some line that was very telling of what basically Bobby's doing?
Something,
a betrayal of trust like that.
It changes everything.
I like that line reading. That was great.
It was not all how it was said, but.
And then Bobby was like, oh no.
That's how we heard the line, Zach. It's okay.
It changes everything.
The dark announcer, it changes everything.
But yeah, and even at the end of this episode, she and Coulson have a secret together. Just the fact that she's changing the index and, making it more comprehensive, I guess that's a secret.
Yeah.
And
I don't know why.
It seems like an odd secret.
We've changed our filing system.
That almost seems, that's a pointless secret.
I wonder if it would maybe have certain people, like maybe
Upset.
May, for example, who is really afraid on how to deal with Skye. Maybe she doesn't think a classification to sort of make her be like feel different than the other gifteds would really benefit either party.
I think it's less that they're changing the classification system and more that they're paying closer attention to the classification system.
Well, and
Like, it's
she's
more
part of the
complex.
reason why they're changing it in the first place.
It's more complex than they originally thought.
yeah.
Yeah, they did just lump all these people who were different into a big, into a big list together. And like, they're different, no big deal.
Yeah.
It's different now. And
I also like this episode because we saw the prison with like not the prison, but the mental institution, and I feel like that might be the closest we'll ever get to seeing the Raft on film, which I don't know, as a Marvel nerd is really cool for me. I just don't feel like we'll ever see a thing that's featured on the Raft, which in the Marvel universe is like a super prison where they keep all of the superhumans.
is that essentially their Arkham Asylum, only for superhumans?
Except it's actually just meant for superhumans instead of a regular prison that they happen to put a guy with crocodile strength in. And they let him keep on his costume.
Seems short-sighted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Marvel has like over the years they have like many.
They have a lot of super prisons. Yeah.
Well, and I'm just kind of thinking a little bit ahead to Civil War. If they already have a comprehensive list of people with gifts
Other
and
gifts,
powers, and I didn't even think about this when they initially mentioned the index because Civil War hadn't been announced, way back then. But they already have a list. That's kind of scary. And just with the way that everything is changing and the fact that we know Civil War is on the horizon, that's unsettling.
Yeah, well, I guess this is it could legitimately just be more set up for Civil War because they obviously can't approach it exactly the same as they did in the comics. Because in the comics, it's all about unmasking to work for the government. But almost nobody has a secret identity in this world that we're in. So if S.H.I.E.L.D. has the list, maybe it becomes that, like, all of these 084s, all of these gifted or
all of these enhanced,
unnamed, whatever, is like you are either required to join S.H.I.E.L.D. / the U.S. government or go to prison.
Yeah, I think it's more of like a register and report thing.
Or like they tag you.
Yeah, I think it's like one of those things. Yeah, because it can't be in the comic books. It was all about being unmasked and that kind of stuff, and then
like doing all your stuff out in the open.
Yeah, and being a government agent, which made kind of sense, but they went about it the wrong way.
That could be sort of how they focus on it.
Yeah.
When they said that Levi had the chip in his hand, does that imply that all gifteds had chips?
I think.
Oh, so I guess they were tracking it.
Right?
I guess it kind of depends because this group that we saw, the little slicing talons, they were exceptions because they were people who were essentially under close watch because they were considered dangerous.
Yeah.
It's not like somebody who was, pretty much harmless or like didn't look like they were looking for trouble. These were people who had hurt other people before.
Yeah.
So they're essentially kind of on parole. Or,
So maybe there's like a system that determines like who's on close watch, who gets a chip, and
although
who's just
it's
on the list.
Conceivable that they just tagged everybody.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
the people on this villain team would be like the people who would get introduced in one panel in a Punisher, and then in the next panel all be dead.
Well,
Just like they don't have useful enough powers to be interesting for the rest of the Punisher.
Yeah.
Well, they bring that up. They're not strong on their own,
No,
but
they're
together they're just as ineffectual.
Yeah.
We're a force.
Well,
that super genius is super weak to tackling.
That's what happens when you don't eat
Achilles heel.
food.
Yeah, if you don't eat food, you're not going to be able to run fast.
No, I'm thinking back on it. Did Scorch? Was he tagged? Like, was that how they were able?
No.
Okay, so they don't tag everybody then. So I guess it's just the quote unquote dangerous ones.
That's
that
right.
They,
He was put on the list after Raina found him.
Yeah.
Well, before Raina found him. That's how Raina found him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's
Okay, yeah, he didn't have a chip.
Well, we didn't.
That I know of.
We didn't know about a chip.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean it wasn't there.
That's true.
I feel like if he was tagged, they would have been able to find him a lot quicker
Or they would have
when he got
mentioned it,
kidnapped.
perhaps.
I thought it was interesting that, also to get back to it,
Yeah.
it was interesting that we had that conversation between Simmons and Coulson where they were making a distinction between the two types, and then that also happened at the very end with Calvin and the reader. What is his actual name?
Gordon.
Gordon. Yeah.
We don't know that he's. In fairness, we don't know
if he's the reader.
We're just very, very
But
sure.
yeah, they themselves.
Absent a dog, he is the reader. But he also was like, you're not one of us. What are you talking about us? You are not what we are. And was saying, like, so they were also making that classification change as well.
So not only does S.H.I.E.L.D. have a classification of them, but they have a classification within their own.
Well, I think it's
group.
Inhuman
like
versus
a hierarchy, perhaps.
Well, I think it's Inhuman versus someone who, like we heard, Dr. Hyde or Mr. Hyde, is someone who's just done a bunch of experiments on himself.
True.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
so
he married into the Inhumans, basically, and so he probably felt some inadequacies.
Yeah,
Would he be
maybe
called
some-
a bi association?
Yeah. Well, he's an enhanced person because through science he's changed who he is.
Yeah,
But
which is interesting because prior to this, I was just making the assumption that he too was Inhuman, not just being married to an Inhuman. But the fact, I think this is the first time that he mentioned that we find out for sure that this was science done.
Yeah.
This was all like stuff that he inflicted on himself. He turned himself into a monster.
yeah.
Which again is interesting that Gordon, you're absolutely right, considers him completely different and not like them. Whereas Gordon was just like people like, or not Gordon, Cal was just like people like us.
All of us.
It's
Yeah.
almost like he's an Inhuman purist, like he's forming a brotherhood of Inhumans or something.
That's a really good way to have the audience sort of feel bad for Cal now.
Yeah.
Because we, like, up until now, I didn't like him. I didn't like what he was doing and what he was, who he was bringing together and what he was trying to have them do. But now it's like, poor guy who's actually trying to treat them as, as beautiful, just as themselves, is being discriminated against.
Yeah, and again, it's a different perspective than what we've been getting of Gordon and his groups, because the only bits of their backstory that we've seen is just a network of support. Like, you are special, you earned this. This is a great honor bestowed upon you. Like it's a privilege and not just a right. But I guess being privileged is giving them a sense of entitlement, and it's very easy to see how a group of people who think they're entitled could easily turn against humanity.
But it's also a distinct difference. Like, one of them didn't choose to be who they were, and the others, either through science on themselves or other people committing acts on them, were turned into the things that they were. Like, the Inhumans, it is a huge thing for them because they don't have a choice. They get exposed and then they become these things.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, I don't know, grafting X-Acto knives onto your fingers is a different
great.
is a different kind of odd thing.
It's just interesting to me because this is the first time we see this group deny somebody who is different, who you think would be accepted into their ranks, to be like, no, you're not like us.
Well, Griffin in the chat room poses an interesting question that I feel like we should ask. Would Gordon's group accept Skye? And they sort of bring it up at the end of the episode there.
Yeah.
Why? And Hyde asks him straight up, why didn't you take Skye?
Yeah, she needs your training. Mm-hmm. And then he gives an answer like, we had stuff for no reason.
That's what we were talking about before. We were a little frustrated. It's like, okay, you teased us with an answer.
Yeah, why don't you answer?
But then didn't answer. I'm assuming there's something. Maybe she is that dangerous that they're
Maybe they're like,
right,
maybe
they can't.
bringing down the girl with vibration powers to our underground facility is not the best idea.
I think it's mostly like so we can see what that facility is like, and then like the end of the season teaser will be Skye like entering that facility.
What was
Like,
Gordon's answer to that question?
oh, it was
I'm blanking on that.
We do weird things for no reason.
He actually said that?
No,
Okay.
it was something
Wow.
like
I
it's
think
like something like don't presume to know what we're
It's
doing
probably,
or like don't.
Okay.
in
Yeah.
all honesty, it's probably her affiliation with S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah.
The fact that she is with the enemy, quote unquote, because, I mean, if these people are known about, chances are S.H.I.E.L.D. would just put them on an index, possibly tag them, possibly lock them away.
Yeah.
So she is with a group of people who does that. She can't be trusted as of yet.
Yeah.
Or it could be
Yeah.
as simple as just like right now, S.H.I.E.L.D. doesn't really know too much about them. They don't really have reason
Yeah.
to track them down. Like now S.H.I.E.L.D. is like aware because obviously
One of their
Because
own.
Raina and now Cal.
yeah, they've watched him take somebody away twice, but they're not going to chase it as hard with limited resources as they would if they came in and took Skye.
Also, those 8
Yeah.
missing obelisks as well. Or what were
Which,
they called? Not obelisks.
One of
the
our
object? Yeah, okay.
commenters actually mentioned.
Diviners.
Yeah,
One of
diviners.
our commenters actually mentioned last week that at the end or at the mid-season finale, Gordon had one of the diviners.
That's true.
Well,
Yeah.
we forgot about that. So
maybe
thank you for
7
pointing
missing
that out.
diviners.
There's a bunch of them out.
Yeah, there's
Like,
there's more
stuff
than
that
I'm comfortable.
All you have to do is like touch somebody with it and
Yeah.
they die. And
True.
all you have to do is like get them into like the right chamber and then you potentially turn them into like either kill them or turn them into some kind of crazy super being.
Exactly. Well, I hate to say it, guys, but it's getting a little bit late and we are running short on time. But before we move on, I want to just see if we can go ahead and do a quick iTunes shout out. Folks, thank you to everybody who has gone to iTunes to rate and leave a comment. We mentioned it at the top of the show. We love talking about everything you guys have to say. We love hearing about it. We love talking to you guys on YouTube. It's just the best, and it really means the world to the people who work behind the scenes to here at AfterBuzz to keep the lights on. They do over 100 shows every single week. That's over 100 hours of content for you guys for free.
So many hours.
Yeah, they work so hard. So it really means the world to us when you guys rate and leave a comment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want and some shout outs. Thank you, Mama Little 7, Katie Finney, who says, I listen to this podcast at lunch during school on Wednesdays. But then this is the part that I like the most about her review. I think Megan Coulson need to bang here soon.
Well, it immediately went from a middle schooler to a high schooler in my mind.
Thank you, Zero Sun EGR0. Thank you, not on the GCS forum. Bruce Boy and a bunch of sevens. There's just two. We don't have enough time to read all your guys' reviews, but thank you so much. Thank you, Captain Katie42, who says, I came to the AfterBuzz for the Agent Carter, but stayed for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Aw,
Yeah,
thank you.
you're my favorite. Crippler HD, Jason Cage.
Jason Cage.
Likes my theory of Maria Hill, which we'll get
we'll
into
talk
in
about.
a little
That
bit.
was also my theory, by the way. They're just coining your theories.
No, our show's theory. Our show's theory.
Thank you.
Safety blanket.
Avenger Nick,
Avenger Nick.
LS Big Bro 11, Prodigal 358, LLF 71.
Were there 357
Rukiatu
prodigals
95.
before?
No, we did break 200 actually reviews.
Whoa!
300 or 200?
200 reviews, and we're at 299
Oh my God.
ratings.
Oh my gosh, guys, we are so
299.
close.
We're so close.
Thank you guys. Over 200 reviews. That is phenomenal. And we are so close to 300 ratings. It takes like 30 seconds. Please go rate, leave a comment. We want to break that 300.
Oh my God,
that would
give
be
us-
phenomenal.
Yeah.
It was that 300.
Thank you, Jellybean 729,
Hi, Jelly
Rukiadu
Bean.
95, and Kijano89. All you guys, awesome.
Oh,
Thank you so
guys
much.
so
Guys,
much.
thank
Okay,
you.
yeah,
Thank you.
we are running short on time. Let's talk about Bobby, Mac, and Hunter, and then let's just move straight into predictions.
Bobby Mack and the Hunts.
Because poor Hunter spent this entire episode handcuffed to a toilet.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I mean, I guess
Without beer.
Well, he got a beer and a
He got
pizza.
got a beer and pizza.
Which I would be handcuffed to a toilet
I
for
mean,
an
he
hour.
was handcuffed for a long time
It was his
without beer.
favorite pizza.
Big respect for Hunter. Hawaiian is my favorite too.
It's gross. Pepperoni all the way. Anyway.
I like a plain cheese and olives, folks.
But again,
Just in case.
it's kind of reassuring again. Well, on the one hand, it's suspenseful when we find out, because we to an extent find out Bobby and Mac's real motivation is that
Yeah.
they're working for the real S.H.I.E.L.D., quote unquote.
The real S.H.I.E.L.D.
Whatever that means. But they don't want to hurt Coulson and their team. They don't want to hurt Hunter. Again, they want a world where they all come out of this, ideally
Together.
on the same team.
It's such an interesting. Like I figured it was like Maria Hill trying to take over S.H.I.E.L.D. I didn't suspect it was her. It was like I mean, we don't even know that it's Maria Hill yet. In fairness,
Yeah.
Yeah, we
that it
don't
was just
even-
like,
yeah.
no, you guys aren't S.H.I.E.L.D. We're just letting you think you're S.H.I.E.L.D. We're
Like, you
S.H.I.E.L.D.
have no
We're the
say in
real
this.
S.H.I.E.L.D.
This is like kids on a playground.
I don't know.
it
I don't know
really
if you.
is.
So true.
I don't know if you saw it, but our eagle is much bigger than your eagle.
Yeah, look, ours has stars on it.
Yeah.
Ours is a shield.
Interesting design choice, though. Those stars make it look very Captain America.
They do.
And so it was an interesting branding choice on the
Yeah.
real S.H.I.E.L.D.
Real
part.
S.H.I.E.L.D.
Well, but it makes me wonder if they're somehow more connected to Captain America or the Avengers, because
Yeah.
they're using his the design he had in like the Winter Soldier with the star in the middle and
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
wings across.
I mean, it just has to be annoying for whoever makes all the uniforms, where it's like, I've been using this one S.H.I.E.L.D. symbol this entire time. Now I have to redo all my clothes?
In their eyes, again, I don't want to give them too much credit because we don't really know what their motivations are, and we don't
Yeah.
know for sure that they are working for Maria Hill or Stark or anybody like that. We don't know for sure
Or
yet.
is this just like level 12 of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
It could be, but in their defense, at least from a branding perspective, the old eagle symbol was something that was tainted by Hydra.
Yeah.
So keeping that around, Coulson probably sees it as this is who we truly are. It's nostalgic. It's what we stand for. For everybody else, it's like that symbol was a lie.
Like,
Here,
we need
let's make a
something
new
new
symbol.
and refreshed.
Yeah. Again, I don't want to give them too much credit because I don't
Yeah.
know who
Big
they
eagle.
are.
Yeah.
Big eagle.
It's it's that last shot. This is like the part of it that
I know,
frustrated me.
it's so
I'm like, oh, it's
frustrating.
so cool. They have that long shot of the hallway,
Yeah.
and it's
I know.
like slowly
waiting for
pushing him on
someone
that
to walk
shield.
out.
Like the shield, that new version of Shield logo
Yeah.
is cool, but it's like
I want someone to turn a corner.
there's two hallways on either side of it. Somebody's coming around that corner,
Yeah.
and then black.
We thought
And
someone
they
was going
did
to
it
walk
on
that corner.
purpose.
We
Yeah.
were expecting Colby Smothers, really
Oh,
anybody.
man. Zach Braff.
At least in my
Victoria
mind,
Hand.
Sure.
David Hasselhoff.
I don't
Yeah.
think she's still alive,
What?
but apparently
Who-
that's disputed.
Yeah, who was it? This panel where we talked about her and someone was saying that she's not dead. Who was I
Somebody was
talking to? I
vehemently saying that she was not dead, even though I
Yeah.
think she's super dead.
Yeah. I don't know. They had a good reason to back up why they thought she wasn't
Yeah,
dead.
like something one of the creators said.
I don't know.
Viewers out there, if you hear any rumors about Victoria Hand being alive, let us know because we would like answers.
And if you do,
Yeah.
we'll give you a hand.
No, stop that. Stop that.
All right.
No
fine.
puns.
All right. I'm just trying to lend a helping hand. I can't help
I
it.
can't stop it.
Oh, don't pod me.
Anyway, let's go
Talk
ahead.
to the hand.
There you go.
I can't
Sorry,
stop
sorry.
it.
Okay, go,
no,
go,
it's
go.
okay. Let's go ahead and talk about predictions then.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Somebody says Maria Hill's not the new head of S.H.I.E.L.D. It's Barney.
It could be Barney. Challenge accepted.
I love you, Gifted.
Anyway, Anyway, but it does look like we have somebody, not Maria Hill is shown in the promo for the next episode, which is, again, a little frustrating because we like seeing our recurring characters.
Yeah.
But you were bringing up, Zach, that there is a certain cast member that they did announce coming back.
Well, we saw him in the trailer.
Yeah, exactly.
Edward James Olmos.
Yeah.
Who... if you didn't watch Battlestar Galactica, go watch Battlestar Galactica.
Quit your job. Watch Battlestar Galactica.
And then meet back here.
It's only like 6 seasons, guys. Come on.
Apologize to your family.
I hear nothing but good things.
Yeah.
Still haven't seen it.
Megan, I don't want to see you back on this panel.
Yeah. Quit your job. Watch Battlestar Galactica.
You guys are going to have to defect and create the real S.H.I.E.L.D. panel. Because I'm not going anywhere. Anyway, did they announce who he's playing?
He's playing a character named Robert Gonzalez. I have no idea who that is. If it's a Marvel, if it's a comic-based character, I don't know who it is.
Yeah.
It probably is a new character, which is more new characters on the show, the better.
Yeah, I agree.
I guess he could be the head of this new S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah.
I would believe more that he's the face.
He could just be, a front man.
Emery Hill's like twirling a pen in the background, like, yes.
Dance, puppets, dance.
Like the middle management guy that does all the dealing with people.
Yeah, I mean, Maria Hill is a crafty, deadly person.
Yeah.
And also, what is Colby Smulders doing right now?
I know, that
Nothing.
she can't be
Just
Maria
being
Hill.
beautiful.
Yeah. I mean, she's constantly doing that. I think this could have, some Dark Reign implications where in the comics there was a split where S.H.I.E.L.D. kind of got split into 2 factions. One of them was Hammer and the other was S.H.I.E.L.D. And so I think maybe it might be a more aggressive S.H.I.E.L.D. or a bad S.H.I.E.L.D.
And Victoria Hand, I believe, was involved with Hammer, if I'm not
I was going to
mistaken.
mention her again.
So maybe she comes back.
Something that they showed very briefly, Ward was in the previous episode.
We got a Ward sighting.
Yeah. he looks well kempt.
Yeah,
and
he looks alive. Good for him.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like he didn't seem like he was in a position where he is really the bad guy that we saw him as, before.
He didn't look bedridden after being shot a gazillion times.
I feel like if they were going to show him as someone to be feared again, maybe they would have showed him in a different setting or a different sort of aesthetic. I don't know.
And it was weird that it was just a quick flash.
Yeah.
It wasn't like
What
something
if
that was
he
kept
works
on there.
for this
S.H.I.E.L.D.
real S.H.I.E.L.D.?
Yeah, I think that's what it's going to be
that's what I was
revealed.
thinking. He would probably be involved with the group that we saw Edward James Olmos in.
And I wonder if that would be, if the reveal is going to be him, he's been with them the whole time.
He's a quadruple agent.
Maybe the next episode begins where we left off, and then he comes out of one of the hallways.
Finally, a hallway shot.
I also want to say, way down the line, I think Simmons is going to create Skye's costume.
Oh, cool.
Going back on what you said before with the gauntlets,
yeah.
but I think she's going to give her a full-on vibration absorbing suit
something
that will
help
stop her from cracking her bones and stuff.
Simmons seems to be a lot more of a team player in this episode, and it's nice to see.
Maybe they have to take the bus over to Africa to pick up some vibranium.
Maybe they do. They take that African bus.
Well, guys, sadly, we are out of time this week. Is there anything else you guys want to say about predictions for next time?
No, I'm just looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too.
I'm excited.
I'll see you guys next
exciting.
week.
It's sad the season's almost over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have 9 episodes left, you guys.
Why do I feel like all my shows are ending super soon?
It's going to be over before we know it, and it's so good, and it's going by so quick. Well,
I'm
anyway,
a glass half full. We have 9 whole episodes left, you guys.
I like the cut of your jib. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Jesse, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at JessKlein1. That's JessKlein, the number 1. You can see me doing live comedy all around the LA area.
And you guys can follow me on Twitter at @ZachWilson, ThatZachWilson. Bunch of shows here at AfterBuzz. Grimm comes back this Sunday. Archer on Thursday nights. Thanks for tuning in, guys.
Cool. You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at JAJOURI, and on the Sunday night Shameless and Walking Dead podcasts, and Gotham on Monday nights when it comes back.
Cool. And I'm Megan. You can follow me on Twitter at The Menguin. That's TheMenguin. I'm also on a bunch of shows here at AfterBuzz, and I've also started writing articles for the Movie Chicks, so be sure to check those out. Folks, thank you to everybody in the live chat who participated, everybody on Twitter. You guys rock. Thank you guys so much, and thank you. We are so close to 300 ratings. This is fucked up.
Yeah,
so
just
close.
one of you guys.
One more. That's all we need. And thank you guys again for over 200 reviews. That is
so cool.
phenomenal. We will see you guys next time. Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later. The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.